Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Justin and this is my wife Julie.
And we're full-time resellers. So today's video is going to be answering all of your questions. In the last video, I said to put all of your questions down below, whether they were personal or reselling questions, and that we would answer them in the next video. And this is the next video. But before I jump into the questions, I wanted to tell you guys that Sam's Club put their bubble wrap on sale. Again, they always do it at Christmas time, and I always stock up. It is 12 something a roll. It's $3 off is what the sale is. And you can buy up to 5 rolls. And I just did a price comparison last month. Their full price was actually a few cents cheaper than American Bubble Boy, which is where I used to get it from. So the $3 off makes it way more cheaper than American Bubble Boy. So I encourage you all to go grab some bubble wrap. I mean, I'm not getting a kickback from Sam's Club, trust me, but I ordered 5 today to have shipped to our house, and I'm going to have my mom order 5 through her Sam's Club membership, and then we should be good for bubble wrap for a while. All right, so the first question, I kind of figured this would be a good one to start with because it kind of starts at the beginning. And I know I answered this probably in one of our maybe first 5 to 10 videos, but someone wanted to know how we got into reselling. And I guess even before that, how long were we bakers? So we'll rewind all the way back. We met 26 years ago in culinary school. We both went for pastry arts. And we started school in April of 1998. We started dating in October of 1998. And we got married in May of 1999. It was very quickly. And then we graduated shortly after that. So we were still students when we got married. I'll go through my jobs, then you can kind of talk about what you did. So when I got out of culinary school, I decided I just wanted to be a cake decorator. So I got a job as a cake decorator. Like I did wedding cakes, I did regular cakes and stuff. Like I loved cake decorating, but it killed my hand. I needed carpal tunnel surgery so bad, and I just kept putting it off. So after doing that for like 3 years, I guess, I decided to purchase a cake and candy supply store because I was like, that'll give my hand a break. Because I always wanted to be my own boss. Like I would tell people back when I was in like high school that I was going to own a bakery. I was going to be my own boss. So I owned that store for 3 years. And the only reason why I sold it was because we had our daughter and I was taking her to work with me and it was just too much. So I sold it when she was almost a year old. Took a little bit of time off, and then I got a job at the bakery he was working at, and I worked there for 13 years. And there I was like a pastry baker. I did, everything from cakes to pies to like eclairs, bars, just all different things like that. So that's kind of my background. Over to you.
So out of culinary school, I got a job as a pastry assistant, pastry cook at a restaurant in downtown Pittsburgh. And after a while of working in different restaurants as a pastry chef, I decided to just try and get a bakery job and focus more on bread. So I landed at a bread bakery, and we did a lot of wholesale for different restaurants around the city.
Justin worked there for 16 years. I worked there for 13 years. He came 2 years before me, and I quit like 9 months before he lost his job during the pandemic. So I quit, decided to take some time off. I was just burnt out. I was just sick of dealing with people. And we were just living on his one income. This goes back to our roots. I started out my social media journey long before YouTube as Mrs. Frugal. Like there was no trash to cash on it. And it was all about living frugally and being debt free. I joined what was called the debt free community in the Instagram. And I took him along for the ride to pay off all of our car loans and just become debt free and have like 6 months emergency savings account and everything. So I did that back when we were still working, which is what allowed me to be able to quit my job and just to live on his one salary. So when he lost his job for the pandemic, we were just like, oh, what are we going to do? And we had always just resold stuff around the house, like our own stuff. Like if it was like, oh, we're not using this, we would have a garage sale. Occasionally I would put stuff on eBay. I had been selling things like of our own stuff off and on eBay for, I guess 2009 was when the account that I use now was created. So I had no problems listing stuff on eBay. So that summer he was still off from work. He was starting to like look for a job as, you know, the restaurant food industry was opening back up. And I was like, maybe I'm going to give this reselling thing a try. He went back to work. I think it was October of that year. He got a new baking job. And I decided I was going to become a reseller. And so I really had no experience, but I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And then he ended up losing that job within 6 weeks because they had overhired and people just weren't out yet, like buying things at bakeries and things. So he ended up unemployed again. And so he just kind of joined me and we realized that we were a really good team. And we were like, why don't we give this a shot and become resellers? But going back to the debt-free lifestyle, we would have never been able to do this if we had 2 car loans, if we didn't have an emergency fund of like at least 6 months. Like that gave us a safety net to be like, all right, we'll try this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you know, it gave us the confidence to try it. And guess what? It worked, because here we are 4 years later, still doing it.
Maggie asked how far away we are from the bins, and we have 2 locations that we're kind of in between. It's about 25 minutes to either one. One is definitely, she asked about how clean they are too. One is definitely a little more clean and less chaotic than the other one. So Julie prefers to go to the one that's, it's definitely more kind of laid back and cleaner. I will go to the other one occasionally because they just turn stuff really fast. Like the bins changes are really fast there, and a lot more stuff seems to go through there.
And
So
he has no problem living in a pig pen. You know,
yeah.
if I died tomorrow, the house would look like God only knows. All right. And we'll go right into Stacy's question. She asked tips for first timers at the bins. So I would just say, well, first off, every location is different. Every state has different rules. I mean, there are some where they make people leave when they change the bins. You know, there's just so many different ways they do it. So if you've never been there before, you could go online and look up like reviews or if people talk about how things go. But I would just say when you walk in there, ask the cashier, look for friendly people. People come up and ask me all the time how it works there. You know, ask like what you're supposed to do during a change, you know, where you're supposed to stand, when you're allowed to touch stuff. You know, check out the, oh, let's do my highlighter. Check out the signs, see how much you're paying for everything. At ours, when they change a bin, you just have to stand like behind a line. There, at the 2 locations do it differently. One, like the line is all the way in the front of the bins. The other, the line is kind of going around the bins, but you have to stand back. You have to wait till they bring them all out, and then they'll say go ahead, and then you're allowed to take stuff out of them. So you could also just observe, you know, just like stand there until you see the first bin change happen. Some people aren't comfortable like diving in when the changes are happening. They just like to go to the other bins that have been out there. Like because at ours, they just do 1 row at a time. So the other bins have been there for a couple hours. So you can still dig through those. Trust me, you will still find things in the bins that have been out for a long time. But you know, it's all what you get comfortable in. A lot of times we keep some in the car now, but when we first started going and I would take a purse with me, I would keep all different batteries in my purse to test stuff. You know, some people wear gloves in the bins because, yeah, sometimes there can be broken glass or something sharp. But I need to be able to feel if something is cashmere, wool. You can feel like, I can tell if it's a Lululemon sweatshirt just by feeling it. I feel like I would just struggle with gloves on. So I don't wear them. But by all means, I think some bins even make you wear gloves. So yeah, it's all a personal choice on what you're comfortable with. We pack our lunches because we stay for a long time and just go out to the car. Hand sanitizer. I would bring hand sanitizer, put it in your coat pocket, your purse, whatever you're bringing, so you can wash your hands in, you know, whenever they get dirty, because sometimes you touch something wet. Ugh, no one likes. Oh, it's awful. And it's most of the time it's rained and like so the collection bins outside get wet and then they pour it out. But God, there is nothing worse than like digging in and something is damp and you're like, oh my God, what caused that to be damp? But yeah, I mean, that's just all part of the bins experience. Sorry, did I scare you off from the bin? Because I said sometimes things are wet. It's not that often.
Oh, well, I was
What?
going to say we also use strap bags whenever we go, which is just, it's like a Marshall's bag or something, and we will put a strap from, I think ours are
Like
from
a
like,
duffel bag.
yeah, a
Yeah.
duffel bag. So
We
that's,
wear it crossbody, I guess
yeah,
is how to describe it. That way you can throw stuff in your bag and your hands free. I mean, some people just grab boxes. Some people
yeah.
drag like hampers along with them, but yeah, you definitely want something to put your items into. And because the same Stacy, because I think I have a question by another Stacy too, asked if how to deal with the anxieties or if I get the anxieties of up and down sales, in paying bills. And I had to laugh. If I get anxiety, my entire life is anxious. I am the most anxious person on earth. I feel like if I don't worry about things, God will think I don't care and bad things will happen. Yep, that's my philosophy. So, yes, I every day, if sales are slow, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, sales are slow." It's the end of the world. I get down, like I get sad I start being like, "Should I be getting a job?" But when all is said and done, almost every single month. I think there was one month this year where, like, technically on paper, we wouldn't have made enough to pay our bills, but we had enough money in the bank from previous months that were more, like, that would have made it fine. But for the most part, it's all fine. And I'm going to go back to the previous question that I answered. We also have very low cost of living and money and savings. More or less, it just doesn't cost us that much to survive. So if you're someone with really high bills, super high mortgage, I mean, just to give you an idea, we live in a 1,000 square foot ranch, 3 bedroom. It's not like a huge house. We've lived in it for 15 years. And our mortgage with taxes and insurance is only 800 and like, oh, it's going up because they raised taxes. I think like $880 a month. And hopefully it'll be paid off in the near future because we're down to only owing like $28,000 on it. So, we just have low expenses. Both of our cars are paid off. And if one of them broke down tomorrow, we have enough money in the bank to replace it. So that makes it less worrisome if I was sane, but because I like to freak myself out for no reason, I still worry about it. But I know if things go wrong and we don't have enough money, he would go out and get a job tomorrow because he has no problem working for someone else. Because he'll tell you right now he works for someone else.
I work for Jolie.
Because I'm the boss.
She's really an entrepreneur. Yeah, I'm fine with working for someone.
He likes
I
people to
mean,
tell him what
yeah.
to do and lead him in the right
She's
direction.
totally driven to own a business and do well at it. I'm fine with just going and working and doing my job and going home. So
But you like the business we
I
have.
like, yeah, I like
Okay.
doing it.
I was like, they're like, she's forcing him to
Yeah,
work at our
no.
eBay business. He knows at any time that if he wants to get a job, I would just scale it down. I would not be selling weights, let me tell you, because I'm not hauling those myself. But the business would just get scaled down, and I would just do my side of it. And if he still wanted to do weights, on the side, he could. But it's not necessary. We're financially doing fine, and we love the freedom that this job gives us. Like, it's just very nice. And the last question Stacy asked was about healthcare, because that is a very scary like thing. For if you want to become an entrepreneur or self-employed or whatever you want to refer to it is. And we get our health insurance through the healthcare.gov. In Pennsylvania, it's called Penny. But it's essentially Obamacare. And so we just purchase it ourselves. Yes, it can be very, very expensive, but it is based on your income. They give you a subsidy based on your income, and it is very, very generous. So we have a gold plan, and that was the top tier plan. Now they have a platinum plan, but we pretty much have like $20 to $40 copays for everything we do. We don't have deductibles. Like, it's a very good plan. And we just got our premiums for next year, and I think we're paying $380 because they're giving us like over $1,000 subsidy. Is that what you called it?
A subs. I think it's a
Yeah, it's written
subsidy.
right over there. I could walk and look, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to. And that's based on, your income and how many people are in your family, and just all of that stuff goes into it. So it really is not unattainable. Like, all right, let's answer another question. Thrifty Nancy asked a couple questions. So I'll start with, do I have a draft bank? The answer is no. um, because it freaks me out if I make listings and they're sitting there and no one can buy them after I did the work. Like, I know in my head eBay likes it that we list every day and that helps the algorithm and stuff, but I just struggle with it. When I did the list 20 items a day every day June challenge, I would make a draft bank, but it was only up for like 12 hours. Like, I would do a bunch of listings at night and save them and put them up the next day. That's about as far as I went. I guess a couple times when we went on vacation, I made like a small draft bank that let me put up a couple listings every day, but I just struggle with one. Like, it drives me crazy. I'm like, those listings, all the work has been put into them, but no one can buy them. And that annoys me. So, especially this time of year, like, I want everything listed as quickly as possible this time of year. So I don't have a draft bank, but you probably should. All right. She also asked what our daughter Brooke wants to do after school. So she is going for writing. She wants to be an author, but she recently started taking acting classes too as like electives, and she is enjoying that thoroughly. So I don't know, something creative. She is an artist, like, meaning she draws. Sorry, I was like, artist can mean so many things. She writes, and now she acts. So something in the creative arts field. And then her last question was, do I hope to grow my store? And honestly, the answer probably is not what you would think. I would rather shrink my store. I want less crowdedness in my area. I want stuff coming in and going out so quickly. I never have like a number in my head that I want my store to be. I have a number in my head of what I want my sales to be, but not what I want listed. I just list what I have available to list, and the number will fluctuate. Right now I have close to 1,200. For years I never had like the first few years I had less than 1,000, but I also had 100% sell-through rate. I would have like, say, 700 items listed and I would have 1,000 sold. Like, I wish I could go back to those days, but now that I do more clothes, their sell-through rate just isn't as fast. But yeah, I would rather have less items, because we got close to like 1,400 like over the summer, and there's just too much stuff in my house. I'd rather keep it small. All right, another question was from Purple Kelly, I do believe was the screen name. She wanted to know about returns. She asked if we offer free returns. If an item doesn't fit, do you refund the shipping? Can I explain how and when I do not refund the entire shipping? So, I do not offer free returns unless I screwed it up. If the item's not as described, if the item's broken when it gets there, say I put the wrong size in it, that's completely my fault. When they return the item, I give them back their initial shipping, and I had to purchase the label from eBay. eBay took that out of my funds. Now, if you return an item because you didn't like it, it didn't fit, the buyer, is completely responsible for paying for the label to get it back to me. And when I get it back, I am only returning the money that they paid for the item. I am not returning the initial shipping too, because I'm out that money and it's not my fault they changed their mind or it didn't fit. I provide very accurate measurements in all of my listings. There has been once or twice in my reselling career where someone has lied and opened an INAD, which is an item not as described, so they could return an item for free. But when I got the item back, there was nothing wrong with the item. Like, one woman, it was a pizzelle maker I talked about in a video. She said the handle was loose on it. When I got it back, I realized she had never even opened. She just slit the box open and put a return slip in it. But like, it was bubble wrapped exactly how I had it, because I filled the corners like meticulously and stuff. So more or less, she just decided she didn't want it or got one cheaper. So she lied to get it back. So I had to pay for the label for her to send it back because she said it was an item not as described. But it did give me the option of not returning her initial shipping. So I chose not to, and I wrote her a note, because it gives you a note section, that said, you were scamming the system. You did not even open this item. So for that, I'm at least taking back my initial shipping cost. So I was still out the return shipping, but at least I recouped some of my money, and then I sold it again. So yes, I don't offer free returns unless it was my mistake. I offer returns, but the buyer pays for the returns. I used to not offer returns, like maybe the first year, but then I just found that people were continuously lying and saying there was something wrong with the item, so eBay would force the return. So I find it much easier to just offer buyer pays return. I had a couple people ask how they would shop our eBay store. And the easiest way is, if you're watching a video, is if you just go down into the description of the video. I have links for everything. I have links to our eBay store, our Poshmark store. I have links to all the items that I use in my reselling business. So you can get to it there. But maybe it is even easier. All that you do is Google Julie's Hunted Treasures eBay. And this is what's going to bring you. This is my eBay store. It's can go in and just shop everything that I have. You can sort, you can filter, etc. So that's how you shop our eBay store. Now, Lois asked if we still check comps like multiple times while we're out thrifting. And the answer is yes, totally. I mean, when we go to the bins, when they do a bin change, we just grab whatever we think has possibility, throw it in the cart. And then in between the changes, I just sit there and look everything up. I want to know that things are going to sell well. I want to know their sell-through rate, all those good things. So there are things like, you guys know I always talk about, we always buy high top black Converse. Like, those are a given. Certain brands of clothes, if I find it new with tags, I'll grab it no matter what. Like, here's an example. Yesterday, Justin found a bag full, pretty much. It was like, there's 70 some total. These are Disney from the movie Cars, like Cars 1, 2, or 3, or they're shorts cars. We sold all of our daughters years ago, and they sold for huge money. We know these things. Like, there's ones that aren't worth much, so you just put those in big lots. And then there's ones like these. This little one got listed for $44.99 because that's what the comps are. And this big one got listed for like 70 some dollars because that's what the comps are. Absolutely crazy. So we knew overall that the cars were good enough. We knew that the low priced ones we would just list together, and then the good ones we would list individually. So we didn't look that up. But I am a firm believer in looking stuff up. I don't want to spend my money on stuff that's not good. Yes, I go by gut a lot of the times. We were trying to debate, like, when we're out, like regular thrifting, I would say maybe 80% of the time I look stuff up, and 20% of the time it's because I already know it's good, or I'm just like. All right, the next question has to do with cross listing. I had two people ask about it. One was just asking what we used for it. Someone else was saying that they list on eBay now, but in the future they want to start listing on Poshmark and Etsy, and they were thinking about like list perfectly, Posh or VA, like what all, I use, what you suggest, etc. So the only cross-listing platform I have ever used, or software, is Flyp, and I still currently use it now. I will insert a demo in a minute of how it works, but it's very basic, and it will cross-list to both Poshmark and to Etsy. I have never tried List Perfectly or a Posh or VA. I do believe a Posh or VA is just to share for you, which Flyp does, and List Perfectly is to cross-list. So it's like you need those two services to do the one thing that Flyp does, and Flyp only costs $9 a month, and those two things together cost, I swear, like $100 a month. So I guess it just depends what your budget is, and what the ease of them. Maybe some people say Flyp is a little clunky, but like I said, it's all I've ever known. So here, I'm going to show you how Flyp works.
It used to be free. I do believe it's now $9 a month. Well, I know it's $9 a month, but I'm not sure if they're still doing it. They were originally doing, you got the first 100 days for free and then you would be charged. I can't remember if they're still doing it. But in the description of this video, I do have a link to Flyp, that if you use my link, I get a lot of times I think they give you like a small Amazon gift card or something like that. But this is what Flyp looks like. So I have it on Poshmark Sharer right now. So this is how I share on Poshmark. I just hit start and it's randomly sharing my closet. I can automatically send offers. I can do community shares. So that's the sharer part of it. Then if I go over to the cross listing part, so this is where everything comes over from eBay. I personally list all my stuff on eBay first and then share it onto Poshmark. So I can go up to bulk import here. I'm going to go over to eBay because that's where I'm pulling my orders from. And we'll say I'm going to bring over a bunch of these ornaments right here. So I'm just going to hit import on those. It doesn't take very long at all for them to send them over. All right, so they're done importing. I'm going to close that up. I'll show you real quick. See it here, it says it's listed on eBay. So I'm going to click on it. And here are your options of all the places you can list it on. Poshmark, Mercari, Depop, Facebook, Etsy. So I want to list it on Poshmark, so I'm going to click the Poshmark here. It brings over my description and everything. I'm going to change this. I have it saying that I'll combine shipping for eBay, but obviously they don't do combined shipping. They do bundles on here, so I'll change that out. It says Danbury Mint style tags. I'm going to put in pugs, pug lovers, pug Christmas present. You don't have to put in style tags, I just do. So for category, it's a home, and there is a holiday one. Let's see, they do have an ornament one. I wasn't sure if they did. They make you click on the size, which is so silly because it will just say one size on it. But then you can keep the price the same as eBay, change the price, whatever you want to do. I'm going to do it for 18, and then you just hit list. And now this item has been listed on eBay and Poshmark now. And if I go back to my listings, you'll see it now says Poshmark there. And when an item sells, you can go over here and write mark as sold and delist. And then you just click where it's sold on, and then it will delist it on the other platforms. So Flyp is so much cheaper than any other listing platform out there. I mean, it's probably more basic than the other ones are, but it works for what I need. You know, like I looked at Vendu and List Perfectly, and their prices were so much more.
One tip I did want to give when cross-listing, you know, and deciding what to put on other platforms is Poshmark. You do not want to list anything that weighs over 5 pounds when it's completely packaged up, because their upgrading on labels is insane. So Poshmark is a flat rate. What is it now? Is it like $8.05? I don't know. We'll just say it's $8 for the easy sake. Like no matter what you ship, as long as it's under 5 pounds, the buyer pays $8. I think it might be $8.05, but just go with me on this one. But say you package something up and it comes to $6. You then are responsible for paying another $4.95 to upgrade the label. But it goes up substantially. Like if it's like 8 pounds, I feel like you're paying close to $20 extra. It's insane. And they only let you get a label, I think up to 20 pounds is the maximum. It might not even be that high. Maybe it's 10 pounds. I can't remember. But yeah, so just pay attention to what you're listing on there. I also don't. All right, now Julianne asked me how we pack up large items, and do we like box them up before we list them to get an accurate weight and measurement? And the answer is, in the beginning, absolutely. Probably for the first year I resell it, absolutely every item I listed, I put in a box, you know, with some packing paper, you know, to estimate how much the weight was going to be, and I would measure the box. I didn't want the surprises of, you know, it not working out, and I also didn't want to not have a box on hand that I needed. But now I've been doing this for 4 years, so I am way more laxed, and I estimate. Like, I can look at something like small like this and be like, all right, it's going to go like, it would probably go in, this would be a big box, and I'd probably put in a little box inside of it. So, you know, that gives me an idea. And then I just kind of weigh both the boxes and I estimate. And normally I do a really good job, but like I said, I've been doing this for 4 years. If you are new, you absolutely want to figure out exactly what your box measurement's going to be and a rough estimate of your weight, and go high if you need to, and put that correctly in. But she also asked how I box very breakable items. So I'm going to give you a quick mock demonstration. She was asking about like the big trees that I sold. We're going to do it on a smaller scale so I don't have to wrestle big boxes. But when I'm listing something that is very fragile, I find 2 boxes that one fits in the other with ample space around it. So pretend this is a big tree. So I would take this big item and I would thoroughly bubble wrap it to get, like at least an inch of bubble wrap around it. Then I would take the box. If you have packing peanuts, that would be amazing, but I don't have any currently. Or if you have the pillow packs, that would work too. But lately, I have just been using paper. I will put tons of paper on the bottom to make a padding. Now remember, it's all bubble wrapped. Pretend with me. I would stick it in the middle of the box, and then I would put paper on all the sides, crumped up tightly paper, and all on the top. So it is floating in this box. I'm going to take it out just so I don't break it. Then I would seal this box up with tape normally. And then I'm going to repeat the same process in this box. So I'm going to fill the bottom of this box with either crumpled paper or packing peanuts or whatever. I'm going to put this box inside of it, and then I am going to fill both the sides like equally. Like I want to make sure every single side is tightly packed with crumpled paper or packing peanuts, and there's some underneath and then there's some on top, and then I seal it up. So that item is kind of like floating inside of 2 boxes. They would have to try really, really hard to break it. I don't think I've ever had something that was double boxed break, and I am praying I did just jinx myself. I should check and see if both those trees arrived safely that I shipped this weekend. She also asked me how I pack silverware, and most of the time, especially if it's expensive silverware, I just put I kind of get a long piece of paper, put one piece, roll it up, put another, cradle it into it. So I'd put all the spoons together, all the forks together, but just putting a thin sheet of paper in between each one. And then I put it in a box. If I was shipping maybe one knife, I would put it in a padded mailer, but I would be afraid that a fork or a spoon would get bent. So yeah, you don't need to overthink it. Just put the paper in between so it doesn't scratch each other. Throw it in a box. And Stacy, a different Stacy, because I had 2 Stacys, I do believe, asked how you run a sale in your eBay store and how you let customers know. So I have a clip that I'll insert showing all of that. I do want to say, I tried to Google if you need if you have to have a store subscription in order to run a sale or a coupon. And I got such conflicting information that I honestly don't know the answer to it. Something said you could run a sale but not a coupon. Something said you could do neither. And something said you could do both. It was so utterly confusing. So you guys can tell me below. If you don't have a store, do you have the ability to run a sale or a coupon? I don't know. You tell me. All right. So next, I'll show you the clip on how you do the sales.
All right, to run a sale or coupon on eBay, you want to go over to the Seller Hub, which you get to by going down to My eBay and click on Selling right here. That will take you to this page. Then go over to Marketing. So if I just press Summary, it's going to come up and show me, if I click on this 3, I have 3 promotions currently running right now. One is a 5% off coupon that I always have running in my store. So if you buy something for full price in my store, you will get 5% off automatically. So then I also have a 40% off sale. Those are of my oldest items. And then I have a 15% off coupon, which I was sending out to people that left me positive feedback. So that was another one. So these are the coupons I have running right now. But how to make one, you go up to this blue button where it's create a discount. You pick on coupon if you want to create a coupon, or you pick on sale event if you want to do a sale. So if I click on coupon, you just type in, well, first you need to pick if you want public or private. Public means it will show up on every single one of your listings. Private means that you're going to just send it or share it with people that you want to share it with. Then you go down here and here's your percentage. So say you want to do one for 30% off. You can put your start date, your end date, if you want to start immediately, what time you want it to end. And then it will either make up a coupon code for you, or you can try to put your own in. Over here, you choose if you want it on specific items in your store or all your inventory or store categories. You can sort how you want it. And then once you're ready for it, you just hit launch. It will come on the screen for coupons afterwards and ask if you want to send them to your store followers. So, Stacy had asked me how to let customers know about sales. If you're creating a coupon, you can send that out. If you're creating a sale, which we can go back and look at, sale event is pretty much done the same way, except that you're going to pick a percentage off in all your dates and times, and then you're going to pick specific items. So say if I say specific items and I want to add, so it's just going to start showing me all my eBay listings. Just say I'm going to click on these two, add items. Now these two items are in my sale, and as you can see on here, like this is marked down from $39.99 to $27.99, and that's how it's going to show up when people view your listings.
All right, the ageless reseller asked us. They said they're a new eBayer about a year, and they have very low sales. And they wanted my opinion. Do I think sales are slow from the economy, or are they not picking up things people want? They don't do clothes or shoes, they said. They're also wondering how to increase external views, aka impressions. And then their final question was, do I get more sales views because I'm a YouTuber? All right, so we'll jump into this. Do you think the economy has affected our sales somewhat?
I guess so.
So we have like a kind of like a twofold thing going on that we're debating on what caused our sales. Our sales in 2022 to 2023 were down like 30%. Like they dropped hugely. And then our sales this year, right now as a whole for the year, are down 10% from last year. So if you're keeping up, that's a large percentage down from 2022. But we were just discussing, he feels one of the reasons why our sales are lower is because
we had to kind of switch and focus mainly on clothes because that's really the only thing in our area that we could source consistently. So we really couldn't find a lot of hard goods. So I feel like the clothes just are just inconsistent sellers. So yeah.
So, and you don't make as much, like, I mean, people buying used, we're not buying designer clothes. We're buying
find more bread and butter clothes.
So that, probably did not help with our sales. I mean, we have really started concentrating on trying to find hard goods in this last like month to 6 weeks. So we're going to have to see, like, when the new year rolls on, are we still going to be able to find hard goods? Do we have to rethink our strategy? I feel like I've been pulling back on clothes a little. If you actually look, like yesterday we went to the bins and we got some really cool stuff. I don't know if we'll be able to do a haul video or not, but we've just been getting very little clothes, and I've been very picky about what we're picking up. We haven't been going to as many of the 99-cent day sales, and when we are, I'm just really like, I don't want it unless it's like new with tags or a really fast mover. So yes, so I feel like the economy did play into it somewhat, but for us personally, it's hard to say for sure. We did switch our sourcing strategy slightly. Now, when you're saying your sales are slow and you don't do clothes or shoes, that is a red flag for me, because we are selling hard goods at like such an insane rate because it's right before the holidays. The clothes have definitely are so dead this time of year. That's what last year's holiday season for us sucked, because we were still just sourcing clothes thinking, okay, well, that's what we did the whole year. And people don't buy used clothes as much like this time of year. So because you're only sourcing hard goods, I think you mentioned collectibles and things like that, I feel like your sales should be really good right now. So one thing I wanted to discuss with you is your looking up like sell-through rate. Are you looking up sell-through rate? Maybe you are. I don't know, but this is also for everybody else, not just you, the ageless reseller. But I made a video, which I'm going to insert in a minute, explaining how you look up sell-through rate for items. So I'm going to put that in here now, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
All right, if you don't know how to look up a sell-through rate, I'm going to give you a demonstration right now. We just picked up this Wii Guitar Hero Aerosmith guitar at the bins. So that made me think I would look up the sell-through rate on here. So put in whatever item you're looking up for, which I did right here. At this number, you're going to look at this number at the top. And you can do this on your phone too. It'll show you at the bottom. There are 144 of these guitars listed. But what we want to see is how many are sold. So go down to sold. All right, so here is the solds. Go to the top. There is 175 guitars sold in the last 90 days and 144 listed, which means this has well over a 100% sell-through rate. So say there was only 72 sold, that would be a 50% sell-through rate. But as I said, because there are more sold than what are listed, that is over 100% sell-through rate, and that is amazing. There are tons of resellers that will only pick up items with 100% sell-through rate. For me, it varies on what the item is to how low of a sell-through rate I'm willing to go. Here's an example of a very bad sell-through rate. So I just picked, because I know people, I think, always think they're so valuable. I see them on Facebook Marketplace all the time, but Holiday Barbie from 1995, and here's her style number. So I put that in. There are 1,400 of these Holiday Barbies listed. Let's go down and click on the solds. So when I click on the solds, there are only 99 sold. That is an absolutely horrific sell-through rate. I mean, the chances of yours selling is slim to none unless you market the absolute lowest, and that's pretty much called a race to the bottom when you're trying to beat out everybody else that has their item priced really low. If I mathed right, that is a 14% sell-through rate. So I would avoid the 1995 Holiday Barbie at all costs.
So to increase sales, I would definitely say look at the sell-through rates before you're buying, because you just don't want to put stuff in your store that is going to move super slow. Number two is maybe you need to reevaluate your prices. If things have been in your store for a while, the market changes all the time. Look up some of your things and see what other people are selling them for. See what they actually have sold for. Go over to the solds and look. Maybe you need to lower your prices some. Maybe you need to run some sales. Are you promoting your items? I mean, unfortunately, in today's eBay, you really need to promote, I would say, like a minimum of 5% for slower moving things. And that's on the low side. That's what I do, but that's like on the low side now. But that helps. And if your items are stale and in your inventory for a long time, are you ending and hitting sell similar and relisting them after a couple months, because they kind of get buried in the eBay algorithm? So say you listed something for 9 months and it hasn't sold. If you don't relist that, after a couple months, the chances of it selling go down significantly. As far as how to increase external views and impressions, I don't pay attention to any of that. We don't pay attention to any of the numbers. It's like, I feel like the sell-through rate is way more important, because you'll have things that say they have no views on them or whatever, and they sell immediately. I really don't pay attention to any of that stuff. And your final question, do I get more sales / views because of being on YouTube? And anytime anyone asks if it helps our business to be on YouTube, I always laugh. And there's kind of 3 parts to it. The first part is when you put your store out there, you get a lot of looky-loos. And unfortunately, that is very, very bad for your eBay store. When people go into your store just to look but don't buy things, eBay's like, so many people are showing up, but no one's buying things. You must not have good stuff. We're going to not recommend you and put your stuff up at the top. So that's one downside to it. 2 is occasionally we get viewer sales. I mean, maybe a couple a month, not much. I don't ask viewers, to buy stuff from us. If I run a sale, I'll mention it on here. I don't ever expect people to buy it from us. But the third part is YouTube takes away so much time from our reselling business that if we didn't do YouTube, we would have so much more time to source and list. So chances are we would make more money if we didn't do YouTube at all, because just to give you an idea, we made $148 last month on our videos on YouTube. I mean, yes, we hope to continue to grow, and there are people out there that make thousands of dollars per video. We're not those people. We're old. People probably don't want to watch us. But, it does not help. So please do not, because I hear people say all the time, I'm going to start a YouTube channel because that will help my reselling business. No, it will not help your reselling business unless you are one of the lucky few that get shot to stardom instantly, and people are just buying because they want to buy from, a certain person. But that is a very small percentage of people. So no, it's not much of an advantage, I would say. All right. I got asked a 2-part question. The first part was, how do I make a flaky pie crust, which we'll go back to in a minute. And then the second part was, how do I ship the Corel dishes? Because I've been showing in my videos that we have been selling Corel dishes of plates, bowls, everything. I'm like crazy. So luckily you asked this question in the same day I sold some, and we videoed it. So I'll show you right here how I pack them. All right, so for Corel dishes, I'm just going to put a piece of paper in between each one. This is just purely to keep them from rubbing against each other. This is very important, especially if they have prints, because you don't want the prints to get rubbed off. Corel dishes are very forgiving as opposed to most dishes. They are made to not break, though they can, but they're a lot easier to pack than most. So once I have the paper in between them, I'm just going to grab some bubble wrap, and I go around. You'll see both ways. And then I'm going to run this piece the opposite way. That way it gets the bunchier. Here, I'll show you. That way it gets this on both sides, because that adds the added protection. All right, nice and secure. Will that fit? I think it will. All right, so I got this box. That is a perfect fit. It has a thick thing of bubble wrap at the top and the bottom. So all I'm going to do is fill these voids with packing paper and put a little bit on the top, and that's all there is to packing. Right, and then the last part of your question, how to make a flaky pie crust. I feel like you're probably the better pie crust maker than me, but I guess I'll talk about how I make it. I can put my recipe on the screen here. We only use butter in our pie crust. I know some people use shortening. I know some people use lard, which just grosses me out. I'm sorry, I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, but the thought of lard in my pie just freaks me out. But the point is we just use all butter. It's a very simple, basic recipe here. And when I made it for Thanksgiving, I just mixed all my dry ingredients, had them in a bowl. I took the cold butter, because you always want cold butter, because that's what gives you flaky pie crust. I took the cold butter and I actually ran it on a cheese grater and just mixed it lightly with my hands, and kind of got it coated, the butter in what is that? Oh, in the flour. What is that stuff called? All right. So, and then I just mixed it up with my hands until it was like a rough dough. You don't want to, don't you think overmixing is what ruins it.
Overmix it because it'll get really tough.
Yeah, it needs the layers in between there. So I mean, it's still like pottery. There's still flour on the outside, but I'm getting it, combined enough. And then I just kind of made it into my batch made 2, so I made it into 2 discs. I put it in plastic wrap, and I put it in the fridge for like a half an hour to chill, and then I brought it and just rolled it out and baked it then. So. All right, so I think we covered all of your questions. If anyone has any questions from the questions, if I didn't clarify something enough, please leave it in the comments below, and I will try my best to answer it for you. We appreciate, as always, you taking the time to watch. We're getting really close to 4,000 subscribers. I'm hoping we can do it by the end of the year. So if you find yourself watching our videos and you're like, I've never subscribed, I think this is a great time to run over and do that right now. Just hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a thing. We appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.